Today, we are back at John Kuefleitner's to talk about this 1965 Corvette Sting Ray. But not just any Corvette Sting Ray, one of the penthouse suite Corvette Sting Rays. This one has that really special 327 fuel injection engine that makes 375 horsepower. It's also known Fuelie for short. But before getting into all of that, I'm Jay. Welcome to What It's Like. This channel, we feature the classics, vintage, some exotics, lots of orphan cars, and cars that are off the beaten path. We dive in deep, give period correct ads, as well as specs and perspectives that other channels simply don't show. If that sounds of interest to you, please hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell icon next to it to never miss a video. I apologize, my voice is kind of really scratchy. I got allergies. Anyway, if you'd like to get in touch with me for any reason whatsoever, this is not self-promotion. This is just simply saying if you'd like to talk with me, leave a comment in the comment section below. I read all comments and I answer all comments, and it will always be like that. It will never be a secretary or computer bot. The second way is we recently made a Facebook group that correlates with this YouTube channel. No obligation to join, just simply saying that it's a thing. And if you want to share more of your rides and stories on there, feel free to do that. And hey, look, I'm not a jerk. If you have a YouTube classic car channel, go ahead and share the link on there. It's about the car hobby, and it's for everyone. So if you're interested, the link is in the description. Also, if you dig the content, please give us a like so more people can see this video in the future. Let's talk 1965 Chevy lineup. 1965 Chevy had a plethora of models on offer, not in any particular order. Chevy 2, which the Nova falls in that category. Chevelle, Malibu falls under Chevelle. Corvair. Moving on to full-size cars, they were offered as Biscayne at the bottom, Bel Air in the center, Impala, Impala SS. Wagons could be had in Bel Air, Biscayne, Impala, Chevy 2, Chevelle, and Corvair still offered the Greenbrier van. 1965 was the last year for that, but the Lakewood wagon was discontinued in 1962. Getting back to the Corvette, this Corvette also went by the name of C2, and I believe the C is for Corvette, the 2 is for second generation, which ran from 1963 to 1967. 1965 is right smack in the middle of the generation. The Corvette was, and still is, Chevy's halo car, designed by Larry Shadona and Anatole Lapine. I'm sorry if I mispronounced any of those names. I'm a bit dyslexic, and sometimes pronunciations are just hard, as well as numbers. Corvette Sting Ray came in 2 flavors, the hardtop or the convertible. It's also worth mentioning that the convertible came in 2 flavors. The hardtop convertible, where it was like a hardtop roof similar to like a Thunderbird, or the soft top convertible. Let's talk specs. 175.2 inches long, 69.6 inches wide, 49.8 inches tall. It rides a wheelbase of 98 inches. Keep this in mind. This car is built completely out of fiberglass, not the chassis, but the car is. But it still manages to weigh 3,570 pounds. Base price, 1965 Corvette could be had at $2,947, which was equivalent to you spending $26,141.48 in the year 2022. Our car, with all the options in the fuel injection engine that makes 375 horsepower, which we'll get to all of that in a minute, the total cost for that car was $5,639.65, which was equivalent to $50,026.73 in the year 2022. Total 1965 Chevy production was 2,375,118 units, of which 23,564 were Corvettes. That's a possible straight right there with those numbers. They actually sold more convertibles than they did fastback coupes. The convertibles, they made 15,377. The fastback coupe, 8,187 units. I don't usually do this, but let's talk about this car for a minute. This exact car. It will be for sale at John Kuefleitner's after we button up a couple things. This car is super special, super cool. I don't know if you follow Dennis Collins, but he would say that this is a holy grail car. Let's talk about some of the options that this car has. It has a 4-speed manual transmission, teak wood steering wheel, NASA blue exterior, as well as NASA blue interior, soft ray tinted glass, tinted windshield, AM FM radio, white wall tires, off-road exhaust system, positive traction rear end. And like I said, it will be for sale at John Kufleitner's after we button up a couple things. It's currently not listed for sale, but as soon as it is, I will put the link in the description. Let's talk engines. Starting in the basement, the base engine was a 327 cubic inch displacement overhead valve V8 5.4 liters, makes 250 horsepower at 4,400 RPM, 415 foot-pounds of torque at 4,000 RPM with a bore of 4 inches, stroke of 3.3 inches, compression 10.5 to 1. 5 main bearings. It is made out of cast iron, 4-barrel carburetor. Moving up the stairs, another 327 cubic inch displacement overhead valve V8 5.4 liters. This one makes 300 brake horsepower at 5,000 RPM, 360 foot-pounds of torque at 3,200 RPM. That's interesting. It makes more horsepower but less torque. Bore 4 inches, stroke 3.3 inches, compression 10.5 to 1. Main bearings, 5 main bearings. It's made out of cast iron, fed with 1 4-barrel carburetor. Up next, 327 cubic inch displacement overhead valve V8 5.4 liters, 350 brake horsepower, 6,000 RPM, 360 foot-pounds of torque, 3,200 RPM. Bore and stroke are the same. Compression is 11 to 1. 5 main bearings. It is built from cast iron, and it is fed with a single 4-barrel carburetor. Up next, another 327 cubic inch displacement overhead valve V8 5.4 liters. This one makes 365 horsepower. Bore and stroke are the same. Cast iron is the block material as well as head. Moving to the penthouse suite, there's actually 2 engines at the penthouse suite level. This is the king of kings of 327 engines. This one is a 327 cubic inch displacement overhead valve V8 5.4 liters, makes 375 horsepower at 5,600 RPM, 415 foot-pounds of torque at 3,600 RPM. Bore and stroke are the same. Compression is 11.1 to 1. 5 main bearings. It's wrapped in cast iron. This one is fed with fuel injection. The other cool thing is this is the last time Chevy offered electronic fuel injection until 1982. So Dennis Collins would say, holy grail. Just to give you an idea of how rare the fuel injection is, they produced a total of 23,564 Corvettes for 1965. Only 771 of them had Rochester fuel injection units from the factory. While doing research, I found on eBay that you could get a Rochester fuel injection setup for $10,000 is what they're going for now. That's incredible. We're moving on to the other penthouse suite option that became available mid-year 1965. It was the 396 cubic inch displacement overhead valve V8 6.5 liters. It makes 425 horsepower at 6,400 RPM, 415 pound-feet of torque at 4,000 RPM with a bore of 4.094 inches and a stroke of 3.76 inches, compression 11 to 1. This one features a cross-drilled crank, so the crankshaft didn't flex because it only featured 4 main bearings and all of this power and torque. It's also worth mentioning that 1965 is the first year of the big block in a Corvette. It's actually 10 years since the first V8 in a Corvette, because that was in 55 with the 265. That's very interesting. Moving on to transmissions, 3-speed manual, 4-speed manual, 4-speed manual close ratio, or a 2-speed power glide automatic. Notice how this door is designed. It's very Ford GT in a way that the door is part of the roof line as well. So coming back over here, you can see that it's part of the roof. Coming down here to the door panel itself, this is to lock and unlock the doors. This is the door handle to get out. Door handle to pull the door shut. This is for the vent window. Armrest here. Coming down here, just notice these hinges. Look at how this door sill is designed. Look at how tubbed out this is. So you have two levels here actually. The seat sits here, and then inside this dips down another 2.5, 3 inches, it looks like. Coming down to the pedal box itself, these are for the headlights, which are vacuum operated. Hood release is here. I'm not entirely sure what this one does. This one feels like the vent. There's a small vent down inside here. Feels like this one controls the vent. This looks like this goes to a choke. Oh, okay. This one here adjusts the tripometer, which is located right in between the two pods. Clutch, brake, gas. All right, now it's time to get inside the 1965 Corvette Sting Ray. I'm going to show you what it's like getting inside. The door actually opens up quite a ways. It's way better than the first gen Corvette, that's for sure. All right, so getting inside. And then just slide on in. So this is what I look like behind the wheel. There's adequate headroom in here. Notice there is only one seat. This is your trunk. There is no access to a trunk outside of here. So if you had golf bags, you have to stow them via the doors. So whatever you could fit through the door can fit back here. The seat folds, so if you had to stick larger items, you can put larger items in here. This is what over the hood looks like. This is what first person would look like. There's lots of room underneath the steering wheel. Like I could move my hand up and down. You're not going to hit your legs off of it unless you force your legs up like that. The clutch is a little bit heavy, but that's kind of to be expected. It's kind of a muscle car from this era. The horn sounds like that. Sun visors. Here's what the sun visor situation looks like. Here's my hand for reference. They're very thin. No courtesy mirrors. Same with this one. Very thin. There's my hand for reference. No courtesy mirrors. You do have a rear view mirror though. Very nice rear view mirror. Look at this headliner. The light is back here. Love that window back there. The window's nice. So if you want, when you're ready to get out of the car, this is the door handle to get out. And you just move it over like that. It's the same door handle as the first generation Corvette. And that's what the light looks like when it's lit up. There is no coat hooks on this side or on this side. And also, while we're talking about this, I always thought that those vents were functional, like say like a 66 Mustang Fastback, but they're actually not on this one anyway. So you got these vents, get out here, these vents right here. I always thought that they were functional, but I was wrong. Coming to the back here, notice that there is no lines because you can't access this part. This is actually where the gas tank's at. The gas filler's right in here, and you just put gas inside here. Check out this line. So this line starts here and it comes back. It's the Sting Ray line all the way to the back down here. On to the button switches and knobs, starting all the way to the left at the bottom of the dashboard. That switch operates the pop-up headlights. Notice right just diagonal right above it are the lights. So there's two switches that say headlights. Well, one says headlights, the other one says lights. It's possible to turn the lights on while the lights are still folded down. So you can see the ground in front of you if you wanted to. So the switch on the bottom switches the headlights up, but you have to hold that switch the whole time until the headlights go all the way up. You wouldn't be able to see the ground behind the wheel. You'd be able to see the ground if you were looking for keys or something like that. I just needed to elaborate that so I didn't get called out in the comments section. You won't be able to see anything, which is a really interesting feature. Moving on to the fuel gauge, battery, speedometer, notice 160 miles per hour, odometer, wipers. There's a center part of the wiper button that protrudes outward. That is for the washer feature. Tripometer is in the center of the two big pods. Tachometer is in the other big pod. Lighter is just below that. Oil pressure, water temperature, ignition. Moving to the center, that big round thing that you see right in front of you, that is the clock. Then there are a series of switches. The very first one off the left-hand side on the top is the fan/temperature pull. The one off to the right on the top is air pull defrost. The one just below the fan temperature is the volume tone controller for the radio. And the one on the right-hand side is the tuning for the radio. And notice the radio is vertical instead of horizontal. It's very interesting. It looks super cool. Moving back, that is the stick shift for the 4-speed transmission. Just to the right of that, that's the ashtray, and then two electric window switches. And check out these. These are the receivers for the seat belts. On to the glove box test. Here's our test subject. This is my hand for reference. This is the camera that we use for all the cinematic close-up shots of the gauges. We're going to fit this camera in this glove box. So just check out this opening. This right here looks like one of those airplane fold down trays that's on the back of the seat. That's my first thought that I had when I opened this glove box for the very first time. This car comes with the 65 Corvette owner's manual, owner's guide it says, and there's various other things in here. Place our camera in there. Look at how nice that fits in there. You could fit another camera the same size as that one in there, and it shuts. Talk about this engine. This is a 327 small block Chevy, but it's got fuel injection, which is a huge deal. They didn't really make that many fuel injection cars, and according to the brochure back there, this is one of 177 On to the pros and cons. I am getting all of these pros and cons from the complete book of collectible cars, Blue Chip Auto Investments, 70 years from 1930 to 2000 by Richard M. Langworth and the Auto Editors of Consumer Guide. On the positive side, one of Chevrolet's greatest with highest historical significance, tremendous investment potential, outstanding ride handling and performance. Against it, commands high prices. Now, on to Name That Tune. First person to give me the correct name of band or artist, as well as song title, will have their comment pinned to the top of the comment section. That is my favorite song by that group. Thank you all so much for coming out and watching this. As always, thank you all so much for all the support. I really appreciate it. And until next time, toodle!